Hello, magical creatures, and welcome back to Around the Cauldron. I'm your host, Zachariah the Witch, and this episode is about the year in review of 2022 and the numerological power of its number 6. Now, Happy New Year. I know a new year has arrived. A lot of us are still reeling from all of the effects of late 2019, 2020, and then the weird and bizarre dead space of 2021. In my previous numerology readings that I did for my year in review for some of my clients, which thank you to my clients who booked those. In 2021, I said there was going to be a lot of revelations, and we learned about the resilience of our emotions and our psyche. 2021 was also predicted to teach us about the depth of our humanity. Due to it being also the number 5, it was about witnessing more corruption, political, corporate, and even the control of global and local circles. In 2021, there was predictions as well of our identity being shaken or shifted. And a lot of those energies were very true because in numerology, the number 5 is about expansion. It's about learning, tolerance, flexibility. I mean, how many of us had to be flexible emotionally, mentally, physically? We were really pushed and stretched and twisted beyond our means. The number 5 also taught us to have more sympathy, not just for the world, but for ourselves. Some other things I noticed too with the number 5 and what happened in 2021 that I relate to what I wrote is it's liberation. It's the freedom from our old self to welcome our new self, or how to find the strengths within who we are to connect to the world around us. Now, while we did liberate ourselves from personal conflicts, certain setbacks, we made new goals in 2021, and we're still here. Especially if we're listening, that means you're still here, right? 2021 was also a year that was really rooted in holding ourselves and others accountable. Now, I know that there's a lot of talk online, on social media. You know, there's a good number of mystics or witches or, people who pretend that come onto these platforms and they spout a lot of psychological jargon that they found on Reddit or by a Google search. I definitely can sometimes be one of those people because I'm fascinated by the human psyche. But when it comes to shadow work, it's not just about dealing with your addictions or your traumas or your pain. It's also embracing that there are parts of you that will not change. And sometimes you have to accept that about other people too. Sometimes holding people accountable means acknowledging who and what they are. That's just what it is. So I don't really know how else to say it. Now, getting out of 2021, because the past is the past. We made it, y'all. This year, the phrase that came to me for 2022 is a time for change. Think however you want about that. I'm sure that's been a phrase that's been used every fucking year because people talk about resolutions and things like that. But when I talk about change, it's our perceptions. And how do we create our reality? By changing our perception. Our perception changes the world. In fact, a lot of us agree that after the last few years, nothing will ever be the same. But not all is lost. So here in 2022, here are some of the keywords that we should walk towards, focus on, and expect. The first one being harmony. I mean, if you hear a good song, you're going to hear some harmonies. If you listen to music, the thing about harmony is it's also talking about things happening simultaneously, things progressing together. That's what harmony is. So when we think about harmony, it means things happening in unison, things happening with balance. And that means amongst people, amongst places, progression, etc., etc. The next word is responsibility. What does responsibility mean? Well, there's personal responsibility, there's moral, ethical responsibility. I mean, everybody's got a different version, right? But the basis of responsibility is dealing with something or having control of something. Or again, being accountable for something. That's us being responsible for our actions, us being responsible for ourselves, us being responsible for not pushing a limit. Responsibility also means having the wherewithal to act independently, to make decisions for yourself, to follow through with plans for yourself. So that's a good keyword for 2022. Another keyword that we find is service. Now, acts of service are really important. Some people view it as their highest love language, but you're basically going to be helping people, working for someone, working with someone, being of service or acts of service. It's a way of exerting energy that isn't just for you. It's in order to boost and lift others morally, emotionally, personally. It's something that's going to be really helpful in navigating the terrain of 2022. So if you see a cause online, like recently, mine has been this protect our water. You know, we have a lot of indigenous groups of people out there as water protectors fighting for clean water. A lot of this happened with the Dakota Access Pipeline, but if you look it up online, there's a lot of other places. There's over 33 sites that are being targeted for drilling for oil, which is going to pollute and affect our clean drinking water. And most of them are on sacred Native American sites and on native land. That's something that I'm just like, what? So an act of service is, contributing to those causes, those movements. Some people, in the last few years have really made themselves aware of the need to address homelessness or the need to address racial issues. So find a cause, follow it, stick through to it. And even if it means like someone that is in need, someone that that's couch surfing or having to crash in a spare bedroom, there's ways of being of service and helping those around you. And that's a really big energy in 2022 that will help it become a better year for all of us. Now, the last two keywords of 2022 that I find are balance and truth. We all know about balance. We talk a lot about light and shadow in the craft, or how everything is cyclical. That's pretty self-explanatory. A balanced life means a balanced mind, a balanced repetition of following through and steps, etc., etc. Now, truth. I think some of us have a hard time with this one. Is truth based on fact and reality? Yes. But also, 2022 is about the abstract. It's also about our perception. So some of us are really going to struggle this year to find meaning and depth as to what is actually true in our own personal lives. And the same thing is happening as well globally with our understanding of truth, because of all of the different things that are happening that are out of our control. So truth is going to be a tough one, but I feel like truth almost every year of the existence of human beings is probably always been a tough one, because there's a lot of pieces of shit out there that manipulate and harm and challenge, and it's just ugh. But if you can find your own personal truth and it doesn't harm others and it brings about better responsibility, harmony, service, balance, great. That's wonderful. Now, going forward, 2022 will also reveal to us the commitments that we make to ourselves, to others, and to the collective of our communities, our families, and even in the places that we reside. 2022 shows us what really holds substance in our life. And if we ignore it, it might even irritate us enough to push us towards drastic outcomes to force us to change. Because I think I've said this before too, the only time that most people are willing to change is when they're sick of their own shit. And 2022 is going to offer a lot of that out of the box, looking at myself with a critical lens kind of energy. Because it is all embedded in our intuition and what we know needs to change, what we know needs to stay the same. And we need to trust that, because if we're not in alignment with our higher calling or our purpose, we constantly will feel fuzzy, confused, and really fucking irritable. 6 is also what the number of perception and the brow chakra represent. It's our internal voice. It's our internal teacher. It is our higher self. The number 6, which is what 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 creates, is both masculine and feminine through its expression. Now, when I say masculine and feminine, I mean polarities. I've always meant that in numerology. I don't put gender into my practice necessarily. It's more about like positive and negative, or light and dark, that kind of thing. The other thing too that's interesting about the number 6 is that it combines the elements, if you put it in an elemental sense, of air and earth. So it's going to be a little bit more rooted to solid communication and expression. Even though there's a lot of abstract forms of energy here, it still feels a little bit more stable and more well-rounded because of those two polarities. They kind of just like cancel each other out. This year is already showing us how to meet and fulfill our needs by seeing where and when we should and could assist or help others along the path. Balance is the biggest key word here, in my opinion, because if we lack it, we will probably see some instant karma many times over in our lives in 2022. And even it could carry on into 2023 and beyond. The 2s in 2022 symbolize connection. Excuse me. They symbolize connection, partnership, duality, and unions, while the 0, just like in 2021, symbolizes rebirth, chaos, and portals or gateways being opened or closed. I really have thought about this a lot, and Spirit told me not to tap into making any big predictions like I did in 2019 or 2020, where it was like very specific things about government, very specific things about where the collective is going. So I've stayed away from that this year. Because it made me sad, and it also just perpetuated and added to things that were just horrible in the revelation. I mean, the harsh reality of oh fuck, I was right. I hate it. So I don't want to do that right now. And I was told not to do that. So it's great. I discern that in 2022, it will show us what true connections, partnerships, and things of value we have as far as where our loyalties lie will exist. I also discern that we will witness our interpersonal and intrapersonal become a target area in our lives. I think that we will have to take note of the necessity and value of each of those things and those connections. And then this, of course, will ripple into larger areas or demographics involving policy, ethics, morals, obligations. It could even boil down to who you vote for, what TV shows you watch, what books you read, how well you take care of your physical body, your spiritual strength, etc., etc. 2022 equals the number 6, which is symbolized by Virgo and the planet Vulcan. We're going to be really meticulous with our relationships to ourselves, to others, and to the world. If you relate 2022 to the tarot, it is symbolized by the card in the major arcana, the Lovers, which represents, in my definition, the union of opposing energies and new opportunities for growth. Yes, that also includes more committed or potential serious love for those of you out there that are single. So If you are looking around you this year and you see people coupling up or exploring the dating pool, that's a lot of the energy of 2022. So you're going to see more friends and family getting back into dating. You even might find yourself seeking that out because there's this need for those connections. There's this need for the nurturing and the love and the support. I really believe that 2022, with its numerology, reminds us of the importance of abstract thinking, trusting our sixth sense or our intuition, and focusing on our own personal happiness to establish more peace in the world. So those are my predictions. And remember, if you would like to know how each year is going to affect you, you can take your birth date, month, and year, add it together, and then break it down into a single digit number. Now, usually you're going to break it down into a digit of 1 through 9. That's all that we do for numerology. That's called your life path. Once you have your life path number, then add it to the current year that we're in. So I'm a life path of 9, and I would add 9 to the year 2022. So that would equal 2031. So you take the 2 plus 0 plus 3 plus 1, that equals a 6. So I'm in a 6th year. So I'm kind of like right in alignment with what needs to happen, right? So actually, no, it's not what that means, but there's ways to look it up. If it's confusing and you don't get it, you can always look up numerology calculators online. Or if you would like to get a full personal numerology profile and do a reading with me, I'd be happy to do that. You can go to my website, zachariahthewitch.com. But please be good to yourselves this year. Create habits, create routines that bring you more peace and balance. And as I always say, just try not to be a piece of shit, okay? Happy New Year, everybody.